Headlines, highlights, the questions burning up the sports world get answered right here. This isn't just another recap. It's the sports answer. And leading the charge, sharp, fearless, and always bringing the edge, your host, Rudy Campos Jr. If you're talking sports, you better have the sports answer.
Hey, good Sunday morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Sports Answer. Wake up with me every single Sunday here on Answer Now TV. Rudy Campos Jr. for the Sports Answer. Quick shout out, Salem Surround, 210-526-3635. If you need to get that digital marketing, that branding needed ASAP, give them a call today. Salem Surround, 210-526-3635, or just go to salemsurround.com/San Antonio. That way they can get your brand off on the right foot. What do we got today? Well, we've got a lot of NFL free agency talk. We're going to get into a couple of teams here. Obviously, the Max Crosby deal didn't go through, kind of shady, but also other shady stuff happened in the world of sports because you have a lot of backlash on Bam Adebayo scoring 83 points. We're going to get into that as well. Plus, a little bit of Spurs Chisme for you this morning. Fred VanVleet coming in the clutch again against Spurs fans. And it wasn't not a very good take on Unguarded Podcast, but also at the same time, does he have a point? Some people in the association actually kind of agree with Fred a little bit. We'll get into that here in a little bit more on the Spurs Chisme segment. Again, be sure to go to Answer Now TV, hit that subscribe button. That way you can get the sports answer every single Sunday. Plus, more shows are going to be coming to you along the way throughout the week as well. You can find us on Answer Now TV. And again, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it here. First and foremost, let's get into the Trey Hendrickson talk. Now, as we know, the Max Crosby deal didn't go through with Baltimore. They said it was due to failed physical. They said, this and that. I will say it probably was a little shady. They gave up 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby and decided, you know what, hey, we're still concerned about his physical, that came back. It wasn't great. Worried about injuries, this and that. So we're going to sign Trey Hendrickson in return, basically. Signing Trey Hendrickson, who is one of the best out there when it comes to edge rushers. And the shady part is, yes, you traded for Max, you reneged on the deal, you got your first-round picks back, you still got a pass rusher in Trey Hendrickson. So does it look bad on Baltimore? You know what? It does look bad on Baltimore, in my opinion. The sports question was, does Baltimore in the wrong for this? It's hard to say because what they see in their physical, assessment could be totally different than what a lot of people feel. Max has felt that he's been ready as of last year when the Raiders shut him down. But maybe Baltimore had a feeling we can go and sign Trey Hendrickson. Maybe they had an instinct we could sign him and get our first rounds back if we cancel this deal. It'd be like the same thing like you going to pay for something at a store and say, you know what? I don't really want this after all. I'm going to return it. Personally, I think it's a bad move and a bad look for the Ravens to do that. But, I mean, if you want to return an item at a store, if you're about buying something and you don't want to buy it after all, I get that. You can walk away from a deal. The NFL offseason, it was just a trade that was already agreed upon. It wasn't a trade that was finalized. Remember, the NFL offseason really hadn't started yet. The signing period hadn't started yet. So if you really didn't feel like you wanted to make the deal after all, you can walk away from it. I do understand Baltimore's take on that. And if they want to use the excuse of, hey, you know what, we just don't think his physical that he took with us wasn't great. We weren't happy with it. I'm okay with that sense of Baltimore saying, I don't want to do this deal anymore. We want our first backs because we're going to get Hendrickson. I'm not okay with, agreeing to it upon the trade already ahead of time and say, you know what, that's physical stuff. Max was ready. Max was ready for the season. I don't buy the physical fail on anything. Just say you didn't want to get Max Crosby after all because you overpaid for him. Now, when we've been talking about Max Crosby on the Sports Answer when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, we said maybe a first this year. Obviously, you're going to give him a first, but then maybe you could throw in a first next year, similar to what Baltimore did. We thought that was a really good deal. But the Cowboys wanted to do a first and a third, maybe a first and a second next year. Baltimore didn't really like that. They said, you know what? We need to get more out of this. So I understand, I really do understand it. In Baltimore, they have their own ways. But does Max get traded anymore? That's the question. Will Max get traded anymore? I'm not too sure. I'm not sure at all. Dallas has the opportunity to make that deal still when it comes to Max Crosby, as we've been talking. They really do have the opportunity. They've got the draft capital. They've got the space. Jerry hasn't really gone out and signed any pass rushers. I mean, he did go and get a trade for Rashawn Gary, but I mean, this is no Max Crosby. Cowboy fans are itching to get back into Super Bowl contention. Offensively, they're there. Defensively, they are a far, 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 far distance. A deal for Crosby would be perfect. But now that Max is back, because as you can see, the trade has been rejected. Now that Max is back with the Raiders, let's bring up this graphic. Because let's not pretend that the Raiders have gone under the radar here. And if they have, you haven't been paying attention. Because from worst to soon to be first. I mean, we saw the collapse of the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw the mediocre run for the Chargers. Ideally, Kansas City got good on the offseason. They signed Kenneth Walker. They're making moves. They lost McDuffie. They understood they were going to lose their cornerbacks. But the Chiefs did get better in the offseason so far. Not leaps and bounds. They did get better. The Chargers are ho-humming away. They're getting better. They're making a little bit of moves. Then you look at Denver. I mean, Denver hasn't done anything yet. Anything of significance. The one team in that division that has done a lot is the one team you wouldn't expect to have done a lot. That is the Oakland. I'm sorry, I said Oakland. That is the Las Vegas Raiders. Shows you how old I am. I'm saying about to say Oakland. The Las Vegas Raiders. What have they done? They went out and they shored up the main part of their offensive line, and that is Tyler Linderbaum at center. What else? They signed Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Kwity Paye. They re-signed Eric Stokes. Terrell Johnson is their other cornerback. They went out and got a receiver at Jalen Naylor. And oh yes, as of right now, that defense just got even better because they got Max Crosby, who emphatically said, "I'm back," when he found out the trade was rejected and was reneged on. So now the Raiders went from laughingstock last year to, okay, this team can be competitive. Now, will they be first in that division? Probably not. Probably not. Kubiak's coming in, fresh off of a Super Bowl win with Seattle. You've got a great ownership with Tom Brady involved in it now. We're not going to worry about the Davis guys. Don't worry about Davis. But I'm talking about with Tom Brady there. They are a quarterback away, and then maybe a few offensive pieces and a couple of defensive pieces away from being legit scary in that division and legit scary in that conference. Now, again, you go and draft Fernando Mendoza number 1. That's pretty much what we're going to see. But does that mean you cannot go out and get another player, another free agent? There are still a lot of free agents out there. A ton of free agents. You want to go get a quarterback. Kirk Cousins is still out there. Go get a Joe Flacco. I mean, you can go get somebody out there to help Mendoza go along the way, to help him just. You want him to dip his feet in the water. You want him to go full blown into the deep end. Comments are in here. Drop your comments in the stream, guys. Hi, I'm from Bangladesh. How are you doing? Habib Gadget. Appreciate you joining us here from Bangladesh. The Raiders are on a fast track to being good again in the AFC. Just the signings they've made so far have made them one of my winners in free agency in the offseason. Loving it. Loving it. Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers. You need a receiver. You need to go get a big time receiver, which they can do in the draft. They don't even have to draft them in the first round. But you've got Mendoza. You don't have to draft. You don't have to get him. You can get him in the second and third round. There's a lot of great receivers out there. You need to go get a receiver. You want to look at free agency? I mean, we can look at free agency right now. You've got, Keenan Allen's there, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Jawan Jennings. I would love to see Jawan Jennings go to Vegas. You got a lot of guys out there still. Who do you think the Raiders should go after? They've already won NFL free agency. They're one of the top teams out there right now when it comes to free agency. From worst to soon to be first. What do you guys feel out there? Drop those comments in the live stream. We are live here. Answer Now TV. This is the Sports Answer. Rudy Copper Studio coming to you every single Wednesday. Plus, additional shows that are going to be coming to you weekly and multiple shows on the weekend, possibly. Again, we are about 30-minute shows. So whatever comments you want to drop the comments. You have topics you want to answer. You have sports questions you want to ask. Be sure to drop those sports questions here on the Sports Answer. Another notable moving was Kyler Murray, a Viking now. Wow. Okay. Was it a good move, Minnesota? What do you guys think? Skull out there, right? Was it a good move? I can't lie. I like the move. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. You got to give them a good quarterback. J.J. McCarthy is not the answer. We had said many times, including we were doing our NFL draft coverage, we said J.J. McCarthy is maybe a third or fourth round pick. He was not a first round pick. He was not a guy you wanted to go after. Definitely a quarterback you could have passed on. So you bring in Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray hasn't done a whole lot being the number one pick in the Daniel Jones draft. I always have a fight with my fellow Sports Answer colleagues and say, hey, you know what? Daniel Jones is the better quarterback in that draft. I mean, yeah, he won the playoffs, won a playoff game. But he's showing he's probably the better quarterback in that draft. I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. I know. Oh, well. But Murray with the Vikings gives O'Connell a dual threat quarterback. Can throw the ball way better and a little bit more accurate than J.J. McCarthy can. I like the move by the Vikings. It was a good move by the Vikings to get Kyler Murray in there. Really respect it. Really, really like it. I really feel that with Kyler there, if they're lucky enough, and actually we're going to bring up our latest mock draft that we did to kind of give you guys an idea of what we're looking at. But the possibility, because they need a running back, and they need a running back in probably the worst way. Aaron Jones is just definitely not. He's not going to hold up. He's in the back part of his years. He's not going to hold up so much. I mean, the ideas of maybe Joe Mixon being out there would be really, I think, good for Minnesota. If they're lucky, I mean, even a Brian Robinson Jr. would be a definite, upgrade there that I feel that you can maybe go with. The one thing that I do also feel is that if this player drops in the draft, it doesn't have to drop all the way to Minnesota, but if he drops pretty decent amount, which a lot of guys out there, a lot of NFL mock draft experts don't have Jeremiah Love falling very far, but I do. I actually have him falling pretty low to the Vikings, which would be the absolute perfect spot for Jeremiah Love. Minnesota may need to make a move to get Jeremiah Love to pair with Kyler, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison. The idea is that maybe they can go out and get a Joe Mixon or another running back for them would be good. The Vikings are not back in any sort of way. I really feel in that division, they are probably still the third at best team in that division, maybe the fourth. I mean, the Bears have made strides, as you can tell. They had a really good offseason as well. The Lions are gonna lion. They've got some really good additions. I think the Lions are gonna be still very competitive. The Packers, I think the Packers are still gonna be good. So again, I think the Vikings at best are the third best team in that division, probably the fourth. But Kyler Murray is a Minnesota Viking. Does it make a big difference for you out there? Does it make a huge difference? For me, not so much. I think it's going to make a good amount. It's going to cause, it's going to help Justin Jefferson. It's going to help Jordan Addison. I really feel that they could have done a little bit more in the offseason. They're not done by any means, obviously. But let's see what happens in the draft. They need a few more weapons out there. They need one weapon in particular, running back. Defensively, they got to get good. But Kyler Murray, it's an upgrade, definitely an upgrade over J.J. McCarthy. Before we go to commercial break, I know you Cowboy fans are out there, and I got to ask you guys, how has the Cowboys offseason gone so far for you, Cowboy fans? Jerry, has he done enough? I mean, let's look at the moves Jerry's made so far. Brought in Rashawn Gary, Jalen Thompson, Kobe Durant, Sam Williams are the additions, PJ Locke, Agbanya, Sam Howell's the backup quarterback. Okay. The Gary and Thompson move, that's good. They're good for the defensive side. Re-signing George Pickens, okay, big. Gives you the one guy who made a huge difference last year on offense. But offense was never the issue. Offense was not the issue. It was defense. Jerry still has yet to make a splash on defense. Still hasn't re-signed Jadeveon Clowney, which I find is the one guy he should go get. I think Clowney will come in under what his value is worth right now. So I think Clowney would be a guy to bring back for Dallas. But there are guys out there you can still go after. If Jerry doesn't want to wait for the NFL draft, because he probably will get at least one really good defensive player. I mean, you're talking about edge rushers. You still have guys like I mentioned, Jadeveon Clowney. No more Trey Hendrickson. I mean, you can go DJ Reader, maybe a Calais Campbell. If you want to go cornerback, I mean, it's very, very light on the cornerback right now. My biggest question, my biggest sports question is why haven't you made a move, Jerry? You are popping your collar on the Rashawn Gary and, on the Rashawn Gary move, but maybe the Jalen Thompson move. But again, you have so many questions that need to be answered on the defensive side of the ball. You should have opened up the vault and just spent as much as you could on the defensive side. Now more than ever, if Max Crosby isn't going to stay a Raider, which I mean, as mentioned a little while ago, we said the Raiders are one of the teams winning this offseason with all the defensive moves that they've made. They're going to be good. Max may want to stay there after all, and they may want to end up keeping Max Crosby. But if they don't, it took 2 first-rounders to get Max Crosby. You legitimately have 2 first-rounders this year. Maybe even add one in 2028 if you want to keep him for next year. Max Crosby would catapult this defense, would make it a lot easier for you to draft when the NFL draft is coming up, because you can concentrate on getting another edge. You can concentrate on getting another cornerback. Jerry, you got to make a move, man. All these teams that have already surpassed you continue to surpass you, and all these teams that are just relatively right behind you are surpassing you as well. Make a move. Cowboy fans want you to make a move. Are you going to do it? That's the key question. Will Jerry do it? This is Rudy Campos again, Salem Surround 210-526-3635. Appreciate everybody joining us here on our first live stream here on the Sports Answer, part of Answer Now TV. Be sure to go to YouTube at the Answer Now TV. Hit that subscribe button so you can get the Sports Answer every single Sunday. Plus, we're going to have multiple shows coming to you throughout the weekend. Again, we are 30-minute shows, so we bring you some quick content. We bring you quick content, quick highlights, quick takes, everything you can. You can find us on Answer Now TV on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We'll come to you throughout the week. We'll come to you on the weekend. Like I said, multiple shows. It'll be myself. We have some special guests as well coming on to the Sports Answer here on Answer Now TV. Quick commercial break. On the way back, we've got some basketball talk and Bam Adebayo. I mean, 83 points is a whole lot, but why is it being criticized? We'll get into that here. Also, your Spurs Chisme segment. Fred VanVleet coming back after the Spurs. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. This is the Sports Answer. We'll be back.
In San Antonio, your business deserves more than noise. It deserves to be seen. SEO, social media, digital ads. If you're not showing up, you're losing customers. At Salem Surround San Antonio, we design digital strategies that work, from web design and SEO to social, podcast, and display ads. Real tools. Real results. Let's amplify your brand. Start today with a free digital presence evaluation. Salem Surround San Antonio, your brand, everywhere it matters.
All right, welcome back to the Sports Answer. Salem Surround 210-526-3635. Get with them today. Hey, you know what? Your brand is just coming off. Social media is a massively, massively, massively big world. Some of us, including myself, we still cannot even scratch the surface of it. That's where Salem Surround comes in. 210-526-3635. They're going to take your brand and they're going to broadcast it everywhere for you. They're going to market it for you. They're going to show you all the ins and outs. They're just going to make your brand go from beginner to elite in a short period of time. They are the best in the business. Salem to around 210-526-3635. Your Sports Answer basketball preview is here. And look, Bam Adebayo, 83 points, second most in the NBA, behind Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game and just ahead of Kobe Bryant's 81-point game. Now, we should all be happy, yes. Hey, we saw a record. We saw, another, 80-point game. We didn't think we'd see another one this soon, probably, especially from Bam Adebayo, who, we won't consider him as one of the greatest scorers in the NBA, but nonetheless, it has happened. We can give him credit. Hey, 83 points in a game is a ton. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. I think he had, 30 points in the first quarter? I mean, we've seen guys go on scoring barrages. George Gervin could have easily had 80 points when he ended up in 3 quarters. He had, 60? I believe in 3 quarters. If I'm not mistaken, it was 60 plus in 3 quarters. So we've seen barrages. We've seen scoring barrages left and right. But what makes this one so different for everybody out there? Why the criticism? Well, it's a lot. It's a lot to dive into. Now, we're not taking anything away from Bam. You scored 83, you scored 83. I don't ever believe that anything should ever have an asterisk. Spurs fans hate that word because Phil Jackson said in that NBA lockout season when the Spurs were super dominant, they won a championship. That should be an asterisk season. They should have an asterisk next to their title, their very first title, because it wasn't a full NBA season. Don't buy it. The Lakers and their bubble championship should have an asterisk because, well, it was a different circumstance. It was a bubble season. You didn't have crowd control. You didn't have to worry about this. You didn't have to worry about that. It was just, 24 guys in a gym playing pickup basketball, basically. That should have an asterisk. I'm tired of the asterisk talk. If it happened, it happened. Let it be. That's where we've got to be at. Let it be. But when you look at the breakdown of Bam Adebayo scoring 83, the Heat were up by 25 points on the Wizards with 2:56 left in the game. Literally, technically a blowout. Could the Wizards have come back from 25 with a little under 3 minutes to go? Possibly, but very unlikely. But it was the stat line. It was Eric Spoelstra having his team foul at the end of the game to give Bam more opportunities to score, to hit that 80-point mark. It was Eric Spoelstra challenging an offensive foul, which he ended up losing, that Bam caused. But then you look at the stat line. 43 field goal attempts, 22 three-point attempts, 36 of 42 from the free throw line. That is the question. That's what questions everybody. That's what makes everybody question Bam's 83-point barrage. It was forced. It wasn't natural. It was forced. He at one point was having double, triple, quadruple teams on him. 4 guys at some points were on Bam Adebayo to stop him from scoring. He was still shooting. It became a circus at the end of the game. I get it. You want to hold your hat. You may not be a championship team this year, but you want to hold your hat high and say, we accomplished something. We helped Bam get to 83 points. It felt forced. It was forced. It wasn't natural. It became comedic at the end of the game when you have guys missing a free throw just to get a rebound to try to give Bam another offensive opportunity. Immediately inbounding the ball, the Wizards immediately inbounding the ball. And then you go into foul to send them to the line. Stop the clock. That way you can get Bam more opportunities. Yet, when you were trying to inbound the ball, you immediately went to Bam, who had 3 guys surrounding him. It was forced. It was rushed. It was comedic. I am okay with Bam scoring 83 points. I don't mind players doing that. But again, it shows where we are, the state of the NBA today. The game is about social media, as everything in life. The game is about clicks. The game is about me, me, me. That's what the game is about today. Congratulations on the 83 points, but does have a dark side to it. What happened to the game I love? Spurs Chisme right now.
So, like, I hear about the Spurs this y Spurs that, y como que esto y esta, pero I never hear about the real Spurs Chisme. Nine, por favor.
All right, so your Spurs Chisme involves one Fred VanVleet. So on the Unguarded Podcast recently, Fred comes on and says, you know what? Pump the brakes. Let's get the actual quote that he said here. Pump the brakes here. According to Fred, he says, have they won a playoff series? Everybody slow the bleep down. It's a marathon, not a sprint. They're having a good year. But what's the finish line, though? It's easy to say all this in the moment. He also goes on to say, you know, Wemby is an alien. Castle's a really good player. Harper looks like a really good player. I actually played with his brother in Toronto. So, yeah, I like the team they got. Fox is a great addition. They're rolling. They're having a good year. But again, what's the finish line? It's easy to say that at all the moment. Well, Fred, let's be real here. I always take my Spurs fandom hat off. For those that have listened to Sports Answer for a very long time already, you know I keep it 100 with you. Everybody out there, I keep it 100. I take my Spurs fandom hat off. But exactly what you said was one reason why this Spurs team is going to be a threat in the playoffs. Now, can they win the title? That's the part where I still am iffy about. I think they're contenders, but can they win the title? I'm still iffy on that. I go by, okay, let me see how you are in a playoff series. I agree with that. With Fred, I agree with you on that. I got to see this Spurs team, who's very dominant in the regular season. I got to see this Spurs team in a playoff series. That's my one thing. Because playing a team in a 7-game series is totally different. It's not only the players that have to adjust from game to game, it's the coaching staff that is adjust from game to game. It's a lot of different factors. You've got more experienced coaches in the playoffs that have been there than what the Spurs have going in. So I get the playoff series part. I will totally agree that, when you said have they won a playoff series? Obviously not. They haven't been to the playoffs in a while. So they haven't yet. But I agree with you on that. But where I don't agree with you with is it's all in the moment when you made that comment. Because this Spurs team has shined through every moment so far. They had a hiccup against Denver, yes, without Victor Wembanyama. They've been able to dominate OKC this season, with the exception of one game. They've outlasted the physicality of Detroit. One of the best teams in the East coming up right now, obviously in Boston, who's going to be a legitimate threat. The Spurs silenced Boston. Now, we can go back on the Jaylen Brown thing and say, well, Jaylen Brown got ejected, yada, yada. It could be different. It could have been different, but you can't blame the Spurs for that. That's NBA officiating. So throw that to the side. Spurs have had bad calls here. Every team has had bad calls all year. But to say that it's all in the moment, I don't agree with that. I agree with this playoff series, yes. I want to see more on the playoff series part. I do not agree with the all in the moment thing because they have shined through every moment this season. Every time we have expected the Spurs to fail, they've come through. When they played OKC, we didn't expect to win. Even diehard Spurs fans who said, I knew they were going to win. No, you had doubt. If you have doubt, a minimal amount of doubt, you didn't believe. The Spurs have proved all season why they are deserving of the second seed in the West and potentially the overall number 1 seed in the West. They've dominated just about everybody. They had their struggles against Phoenix. They have their struggles against the Knicks, but the Knicks, they won't see them until the NBA title game, the NBA finals, if they get there. So that is where I really do disagree. And the fact that you mentioned they have Castle, up and coming superstar in the league. They have Fox, a veteran who can definitely get it done when Victor's out. The likes of Dylan Harper coming off the bench with Keldon Johnson, who is potentially an NBA 6-man candidate. Not to mention they have Victor Wembanyama, who, yeah. The best two-way player in the league right now, probably. We can maybe argue that, but potentially, possibly the best two-way player in the league. I don't know if it's Spurs hate because you had a grudge against Greg Popovich at one time, so you decide I want to call them out now. Pump the brakes. Okay. Pump the brakes. Only because we haven't seen them in a playoff series. But this team has outshined everybody all year, expectation-wise. When they are fully healthy, they are one of the hardest teams to beat in the league. They have a bench that they can easily go 6-7 deep on. The addition of Mason Plumlee, huge for them. This Spurs team has one of the best coaching staffs in the league, as mentioned in the summer. Mitch Johnson did a remarkable job with this coaching staff. And it shows. This team's not good with a bad coaching staff. They have more things going for them than they do not. The only negative about the Spurs is they are not playoff tested. Which, hey, guess what? That's about to change this year. Spurs fans, what do you think? Drop those comments below. Is Fred wrong? Is he right? Do you like what he said? Do you agree with a little bit what he said? Do you agree with anything that he said? Or you just disagree 100% with what Fred said? Let us know in the comments. Drop those comments. Answer Now TV. Be sure to subscribe. Salem Surround 210-526-3635. Again, thank you for joining me today. We had a ton of viewers in the first live show for the Sports Answer. We are going to be coming to you guys again. We come to you every single Sunday for sure. We're going to drop more guests are going to be coming on. We're going to be dropping more shows throughout the weekends. Throughout the week, we're going to drop more shows. So be sure to go to Answer Now TV. That way you can subscribe and you will not get left in the dark. We have a ton of content for you guys to come into here. Appreciate you joining us here for another edition of the Sports Answer. Again, shout out to Salem Surround 210-526-3635. Rudy Campos Jr. for the Sports Answer. We will see you guys when you have those burning sports questions. We have the Sports Answer. We'll see you guys later.
You've been listening to the Sports Answer with Rudy Campos Jr. Today's show was brought to you by Salem Surround San Antonio, helping local businesses grow with digital strategies that work. Visit salemsurround.com/San Antonio to learn more. We'll see you next time on the Sports Answer.